If you've been following the general news around the TCG market, you've probably heard one of two things. First, that Magic the Gathering is on fire from almost every perspective. Second, that there are quite a few new card games releasing now and in the next year, especially considering major releases such as Disney's Lorcana and Bandai Namco's One Piece TCG. This graphic here shows only the biggest releases, and isn't even including the new trend of Kickstarter TCGs, following the success of MetaZoo. On paper, more card games should indicate growth in the market, but unfortunately, there is a limit to this growth. Historical precedence for the TCG industry does not speak to the long-term success of most card games. Specifically, I'm referring to the 5 years around 2001 and 2006, when the majority of currently dead trading card games were released. The market featured an oversaturation of releases, mostly being mediocre and cheap to produce licensed games. Some of my favorites from this period include the Dot Hack TCG, one of the few surprisingly decent games from this period, and the Inuyasha CCG, which is one of the few games to avoid power creep by opting to make sets as balls to the wall as possible, starting from set 1. In this period of releases, card games would come out, barely stay afloat for a year, then terminate. Of course, much like the video game market crash of 1983, this couldn't be sustained, and eventually most companies producing these products would go bankrupt. Furthermore, this was followed up by the 2009 recession, devastating the TCG market even more. Now, do I think that the modern card game market will suffer the same fate? No. Well, at least it doesn't have to. There are a few factors that can prevent or mitigate a collapse of the market. First is that a lot of games released have been really good. The Digimon TCG has been overwhelmingly a positive and unique game to play. The system of building up giant creatures with tons of unique effects, combined with the back and forth memory system, has been amazing to experience in the scarce events I've been able to follow. The newly released One Piece TCG has even more well-designed mechanics, basically being a hybrid of the best parts of each Bandai game released so far. This is a great precedent, especially when combined with Bandai Namco's continued decent support of not only the Digimon TCG, but also Dragon Ball Super with a new online simulator coming out. A secondary factor is the innovations that have occurred in every licensed card game. Weiss Schwarz was released in 2008 and has proven the success of a crossover system, allowing the card game to maintain sales and popularity without being tied to the success of the most recent anime or brand. Let me put it like this. We're able to get a card game for Batman Ninja and have it be successful. For the licensed TCGs that aren't part of a crossover, they're all for insanely popular legacy titles, such as Dragon Ball. Being a series that's almost always 20 plus years old ensures they have content in an established fan base well beyond the card games of the early 2000s. The third and most important factor is the expansion of the card game market. We can see from the easily accessible data that the revenue for the industry has gone from about $3.5 billion in 2014 to about $6.6 billion in 2022. Surprisingly, a lot of this revenue comes from China and India. Of course, this data doesn't necessarily indicate long-term success, but it's definitely moving in the right direction, with hopefully a much larger audience. With what's hopefully a much larger audience, there's much more room for different games on the market. And while we're here, I just want to note that there's been an increase in the percentage of revenue coming from online sales as opposed to in person. This could mean bad things for the local game store, but I'm being optimistic and I'm hoping to believe it just means there's more online sales in general. So, as you can see, the issues with the past era of card games have been largely rectified. It's likely that these new card games will see some measure of success, and the innovation these games have pushed onto the TCG environment will continue to evolve. Well, unless there's a recession. This is a big if, but it's one we can't ignore as a possibility in today's economy. Economic depressions hit entertainment industries very hard. Card games need money to continue to release sets, ship out products, and host events. People being able to spend less in a time of financial struggle hurts sales across the board. The Great Recession in 2008 killed quite a large number of card games. It even caused companies like Wizards of the Coast to start progressing along the anti-consumer path by introducing things such as mythic rares and planeswalkers. Now, I like planeswalkers, it's just hard not to mention them as being a push towards power creep and push game design. Without easy cash coming in, card games have to begin experimenting with new forms of monetization. And if that fails, it's game over for the card game, and sometimes the company running it. Taking all these factors into account, where does that leave all of the games on the market? Disney's Lorcana will almost certainly be a financial success. However, I don't have faith in the game being mechanically fun, balanced, or well designed. I've seen a ton of Disney game products that have been outright terrible to play. These products only sell through the strength of the brand. Considering the people working on Lorcana have previously worked on Disney's villainous games, expect an extremely unbalanced and uninteractive game. See, villainous is very fun, unless you know how to play card games. Then it becomes clear that some characters are overwhelmingly faster than others. There's no chance of winning unless you play one of the 3 or 4 best characters. Just hearing it sounds like a standard type meta, but it's the equivalent of taking a vintage deck in Magic up against a deck from the average standard. As it is right now, Disney Lorcana just seems to be a cheap copy of Magic the Gathering with a mana system like Hearthstone. Admittedly, I don't have enough data about the game to be sure of this conclusion, but I'm very confident that this game will fall off competitively, even if Disney pumps money into it. However, I do think this game will be insanely successful as the collector's market, similar to Weiss Schwarz, where the quality of the gameplay doesn't actually affect sales. Overall, I do want Disney's Lorcana to be good, but I don't have the confidence it will be. So, in a vacuum, the Bandai Namco card games will stick around forever, except for maybe Dragon Ball Super, which honestly can go either way depending on how the newly announced online simulator performs. However, if the economic situation around these card games severely worsens, I predict that Bandai will scrap 2 of them and favor whatever card game is performing the best at the time. It's very likely that that'll be the Digimon TCG that survives, as it's both over the 2-year mark and consistently selling very well. I also believe that under recession, most, if not all of Bandai's new JP-only card games will never come to the United States. An even more unfortunate case for Bandai card games is Battle Spirits Saga, the re-release of the Battle Spirits TCG, one of the most successful card games in Japan that failed miserably in America and Europe. The game looks mechanically amazing, however, I can only describe the marketing for this game as a complete failure, as is the hype surrounding it and amongst the general card game audience. I don't think that Battle Spirits makes it past 2 years. I want to be wrong, but Bandai's not doing themselves any favors with how they're handling the game's release. Shadowverse Evolved TCG, or the physical release of the online card game Shadowverse, seems very interesting, but I can't think of who this game is being marketed to outside of Japan. Art-wise, the cell is just another anime TCG, similar to the likes of Force of Will, Gate Ruler, and Wixos. While mechanically the game is a lot more nuanced, having the experience of 6 years of online gameplay behind it, I worry about how difficult this game will be to get off the ground, considering how much competition is in the market. Also, it is being released by Bushiroad, meaning mishandling is almost guaranteed. Hopefully, at least, the card game won't be as insanely pay-to-win as the original online simulator. MetaZoo is almost entirely held up by scalpers, and unlike Flesh and Blood, the game is not even good. I know not one store that has events for the game, even if they have some of the products. Once the investor money dries up for this game, it's toast. Of course, I would like to mention that the big 3 card games will almost certainly be fine in the long run. Maybe they have to buckle down a bit and start releasing some better products, or go the opposite route and release more greedy products. The most I see happening is that Wizards of the Coast will end up changing ownership or having a massive staff shakeup, and that's only if they can't fix the current garbage fire. And that's about it. There's a lot of good happening in the card game community, but it's got the potential to fall apart if not handled well. I hope there's not going to be a recession, but then again, governments have done stupider, so who knows. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Today's topic has so much room for discussion and nuance, I'd love to see what you guys think about it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.